All right, this is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. Sincerely thanking anyone that will tune in this morning. I did not sleep last night. Today is my brother's birthday, and he has been gone away from us for some time now. But that was my best friend, the person I could trust. We had up and down relationship, but we had genuine love for each other, and I could trust him with anything. He was the one who would tell me the truth regardless. And so he's gone. I miss him. And so that's something I'm going through right now. I have not slept. For those who don't know, I'm coming up on a year of my major heart surgery. It was not a bypass. It was not a stent. I actually had to get my heart cut into pieces. I have a artificial valve in my as my main valve. I have titanium in my chest. I have 40% memory loss that has not come back. So my memory is lost. Words that I used to know, I can't remember. My vocabulary, I lost a lot of that. So I'll be saying a lot of and ums and things like that. So I write everything down now, and I'm trying to make this flow uh, as here's a point right here. I know the word I want to say, but I can't say it because I can't think of it right now. But I'm trying to make it flow as smoothly as possible. You can join us on Facebook. I'm on all of my platforms on Facebook, The Music Man, The 19 Report, Jamil Salib Zamir, as well as on the main page. After today, I will not be broadcasting on the main page. I will only be broadcasting on the 19 Report. So you got to join the 19 Report. I did send out some friend requests for people to join the 19 Report. I'm also broadcasting live on Instagram. And I know that Instagram is a business page, but this is about business, about the moral fabric of society, about the moral code and business ethics, about the proper understanding of those who have set up a life for themselves, who someone who is in a world of lawlessness may take away from them. So I hope that I'm not breaking any of the protocol of Linked by promoting like this. And I pray that they will allow the broadcast to continue through. I'm also on YouTube. This will not take long today because this is the first broadcast after about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. Also broadcasting on YouTube and broadcasting on Twitter and also broadcasting on Instagram. Thank all my Instagram family and thank everyone who will join in. I don't like to look at numbers. I'm not concerned about who's watching or who's not. It is the job of the messenger to deliver the message clearly, and that's it. You can't make a person believe or disbelieve. We're talking today about the universal law of perpetual motion and violence. I want to say this at the outstart, though, and I'm reading Why Violence Will Get Worse in the World and in Our Communities If We Don't Act Now. There must be an equal and opposite reaction to deal with what's going on. I am not an entertainer. I have from 1989 until today, I have thousands of broadcasts, thousands of commentary, books load of information. I can do this by God's permission till the day I die. In the name of God, I can do it because I've kept every message that God put in my heart. But we're in a society now where entertainment is the key. Entertainment is winning. So anyone with a podcast that's talking literally about nothing, how to get rich in 5 minutes, how to win this, how to do that, to prove who we can get on an interview, talking about nothing, trying to be seen as someone of importance. That is not me. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here by God's permission to warn myself and to warn you. So when you come on my broadcast, this is not entertainment. I will let you know in the title if it's entertainment. Because I do DJ sets, I do things like that, but you're not going to like most of what I say. And because it's new, you're not going to trust what I'm saying from God. In fact, it will be easier for you to talk about me than to talk with me or talk to me. Because you think that I'm strange, that people think that I'm crazy, but I've never asked anyone for anything. I want you to think about that. And I've never said, if you put your hands on the screen, I can bless you. I never said any of that. I'm around people on a daily basis, but I never push my religious beliefs on anyone. I take people for who they are. If you're gay and you're my friend, you're my friend, or my associate, you're my associate. I take people for who they are. You understand? So I'm broadcasting on this platform that I'm spending so much money for, and it's always messing up. I don't know if it's real or fake or whatever, but man, they mess me up every time I broadcast. So I'm trying to keep my voice at a level. We're talking today about the universal law of violence, and we have to do it this way. The messages that I deliver to you will be messages that you will understand later. But trust and believe that I went through a lot of suffering and pain to receive this word from God. You call them what you want. I call them God, Allah, the universal law. That's what I call it. It's no different. God has thousands of names and thousands of religions and thousands of belief systems. So, in fact, because my people are into the Bible, most of my messages come from out of the Bible. Even though I'm a student of the Bible and the Quran and the Jewish writings of history, I come out of the Bible the most because God said to do it. So my time on this earth is spent doing this. Okay, let's go. Book of Revelations, we're going to start there. 1 and 3, King James Version of the Bible. Let's go. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Blessed is those who read and understand. Most of us, we don't read and we don't understand much. But reading is not talking about just picking up a book. Reading is talking about when you are able to see a person's situation and read into it and understand the value of that lesson, because our children are dying and we're not reading into the message. In the Bible, God took Pharaoh's firstborn, but he didn't read into the message. So we're losing, sacrificing blood family over and over in a cyclical cycle of what I talked about, the wheel of samsara. We're losing. And we think because it stops for a minute, that's the end of it. But that's not the end of it. God gives us a period to think about what happened, and then it will recycle and start again. The violence in Manning, South Carolina will start again. We're going to talk about the universal law of retaliation. Today, we're talking about the universal law of perpetual motion and violence. Very short. It's not going to take long, but I gotta move up to these things. Man, if you don't know suffering, this doesn't apply to you. If you don't know death, if you haven't seen a person die slowly in front of you or be shot in front of you and you held them in your arms, if you don't know seeing a person die from alcoholism or drug abuse, this don't apply to you because you don't even think it exists. If it's not in your world, you don't think it applies. And you don't want to think about it because you think that, oh, don't think about it. That's going to make it happen. It's going to happen anyway, because everyone has to go through the vicissitudes of life and suffer life's trials. You will not get anywhere close to God happy all the time. The Bible says there is a time and place for everything under the sun, a time to laugh, a time to cry, a time to mourn, a time to be happy, a time to die, a time to kill. All you want to do, I just love everybody. We're talking today. But blessed is he who reads. If we do not read into the death of the people around us who are being senselessly murdered, rather by an individual, by a police officer, by the food that we eat, then we're not reading into the situation. We're not blessed, because the book of Revelation says, blessed is he that readeth that heareth the word of the prophecy. He who reads and understands. Let's go. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. That makes sense? What I just said? I'm praying it makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, send me a message. Ask me what I mean. Talk to me. Don't talk to the people who tell you what I am. And if you believe what they say, then you wanted to believe that. I'm different. Many of us are. We don't hang around people. Many of us don't. I say what I mean. If I'm thirsty, I'm going to say I want something to drink. No, if I'm thirsty, I'm going to say I want water, or I feel like ginger ale, or I feel like liquor. Whatever I feel like is what I'm going to say. I don't beat around the bush. If you're pretty, I'll say you're pretty. If I want to hug you, I say I want to hug you. If I love you, I say I love you. I don't beat around the bush. I understand we can't handle that. I understand that you think I'm arrogant, and most of you accuse me of being white, thinking I know everything. No one knows everything. Let's go. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, King James Version of the Bible. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Our young people think because they know how to kill, they know how to commit acts of violence, they think they invented something. But as we continue to move through this cyclical motion, things are starting to stack on top of each other. All the music sounds the same. All the dressing looks the same. Everything that's happening, there's no uniqueness in anything. Now we're realizing that we're all followers, all slaves to whatever fashion is represented at the time, to whatever actions in life are represented at the time. That's what we do. And when someone comes along to break the cycle of that, you say they're the bad person. See, those of you now who claim to love Jesus, claim to love him, you hated him when he was in the book, because he came to change the normal. How can you claim to be of God if you're going along with the normal? You're lying to yourself. Church and religious institutions have become a place of fashion and entertainment. God did not raise me to entertain you, so I will not do that. But entertainment will be the most successful. I'm a poor black man. People like me don't ever get rich. People like me don't ever have the extras of life, but what God gives, because no one supports us. Because you're scared, because it's different than what you're accustomed to. But all of this has happened before. Let's get into it. We're almost done. Perpetual motion. I'm going to read it, break it down a little bit, and we out of here by God's permission, because I'm tired. I didn't sleep. And like I said, today is my brother's birthday. My brother has passed on. It's my big brother. If you've never lost someone, if you have never seen a person die slowly, this don't even apply to you. But your turn will come. And I pray for you when it does, because it is very difficult, and it does not end like people say it does. It's consistent. Let's go into perpetual motion. We're talking about physics and chemistry and logics, all of these things, thermodynamics that relate to gangs, violence, the political system, the religious system, and how our people have sold us out to be a part of this world, and how this world will eventually stop. And when something stops, chaos ensues. The world knows this. So the elite have been working on building a new world order, because the old world has crumbled. So the new world gives us the things that we think made them happy. So you got all of these people making money now, scamming now, getting a little something now. And they figure the world is good, so they're not going to speak out about it. And I'm talking about the people who in the past used to speak out about wrong. Now they're hush because they're making a dollar. They got a new car, they got a new house, so they think they've made it. They don't want to rock the boat. Sellouts to God's law. I got no respect for you. How you doing? Get away from me. I know you. The easiest thing will make you turn against the reality of what is, but not a true student of God. They're going to stay. They're going to be tested. They're going to be broken. They're going to look horrible. They're going to go through a lot, but they stay. Perpetual motion pertaining to you all, because the Quran says that Allah is the Lord of all the worlds. A friend of mine and I rode through Sumter County last week and saw all the gated communities and all the big homes. I said, that's another world. They're not thinking about what's going on in the ghetto. They could care less unless it begins to affect them, and then they'll speak out about it because they don't want to lose what they have. They protect what they have. You and I are in a world where chaos, anarchy is the order of the day. And we justify it because we think that is freedom. Let's go. Perpetual motion is the motion of bodies that continues forever in an unperturbed. And when something is unperturbed, that means not concerned. In an unperturbed system. We don't think about how our bodies work. We don't think about how we breathe, how the blood flows through the body, how we urinate, how we defecate, why our eyes blink, why we can move our fingers, why we can hear. We don't think about the mechanics of our body because we think our bodies move in a system of perpetual motion. But if you don't take care of your body, if you introduce the wrong things into your body, the wrong things into your mind, the wrong things into the soul of your being, then it manifests the sickness, the illness of our thinking, of our eating. So we begin to get sick, high blood pressure, diabetes, Crohn's disease, heart trouble, sight trouble, memory trouble. So the perpetual motion is the motion of bodies that continues forever in an unperturbed, not concerned system. We're not concerned. The world, I'm juxtaposing, I'm putting things together so you can see it. The world has made young people to think that after going to jail, they will be a superstar. So that's why they say, I don't care about jail. F jail. I go to jail because you don't know what happens in jail. You never been there. And there is a secret code in prison. Most of the young boys go in there and got to give up their booty. But they come out acting super tough. You're not concerned about that because you don't know it. I'm coming to a point. For those of you who know my commentaries, you know the point is at the end. If you don't stay, do not comment on my post if you don't stay to the end, because you have no clue what I'm talking about. Let's go. Perpetual motion is the motion of bodies that continue forever in an unperturbed, not concerned system. A perpetual motion machine is hypothetical. Hypothetical means it's something you think about, but you have not proven. Look up the word. I'm paraphrasing it. Hypothetical is a suggested idea or theory. It's nothing that has been proven. A perpetual motion machine is a hypothetical machine that can do work infinitely without an external energy source. That's hypothetical. The body cannot continue working without giving it the proper energy source, without feeding the body, feeding the mind. The body cannot continue. Just because we don't think about it does not mean that it continues on its own. God's mercy made it to where we didn't have to think about making our heart beat, think about taking a breath. But as we get older, all of these things become important. Thinking about walking, thinking about moving, as death approaches, we think about these things. But why at death? Why not think about these things where we're in a healthy point in our lives that we can do something about it? Because Satan has encouraged us, influenced us, indoctrinated us with a false desire to do what we want and waste time. And once time is wasted, you cannot get it back. And once we realize that we have wasted time thinking that we are in a state of perpetual motion and finding out that we're not, we panic and it causes chaos. This is scientific, universal law knowledge that is studied in colleges all over the world, private colleges, because social engineering is how they control you and me. They know when to give us a little something, a little money, a little something to shut us up. We're easy to shut up. Even the gangsters will shut up. Perpetual motion, this kind of machine is impossible, as it would violate either the first or the second law of thermodynamics or both. We're going to go into it. But you cannot do something and think that it's going to be continuous. The tough gang today will not be the tough gang tomorrow. The person doing the most killing today will end up getting killed. That is the law of universal perpetual motion. What goes around comes around. Your turn is coming. And either death will come from inside of you or it will come from a person that you never expected. But in the midst of death, innocent people must die. And the reason they must die is because if only the wicked die, we won't speak out against it. I want you to think about what I just said. Your child went to school and did everything right, and somebody decides to rob them and kill them. Your child did everything as close to right as possible, coming home and somebody high on marijuana or crack or alcohol runs into their car. Perpetual motion, man. Something has to fuel desire. And when we fall to sleep on our dean, on our square, when we think everything is all right, bad has to happen to wake us back up to the reality that we can never stop doing what we're doing to correct the wrongs. So the person who commits the violence is just as bad as the person who is silent to the violence. Dr. King said it. We think that silence means we are out of it, but silence is consent. So you can sit around in your little corner. I ain't want to say nothing because I don't want to lose this or lose that. If you say you believe in God, then God is the perpetual motion. God is the energy source that will protect us from any wrong. But you'll find that people don't have the faith you think. People have faith in what they see. So the question is posed, how can you say you love a God whom you have never seen and have hatred, vitriol, enmity between you and your family and your friends? How can you love a God that you have never tried, that has never, you don't even listen to? You love him because you make your own rules and apply it to his name. We're talking perpetual motion. And I'm telling you what is happening and why. And I'm telling you it will not stop. Manning is quiet right now, but the crime outweighs the police department. By the time you call the police and there's a problem with you and somebody else, you got to stand your ground for the at least 15 to 20 minutes. You got to be able to deal with that situation yourself. By the time they get there, it's over with. Please go back and listen to this over and over again until you get it. This kind of machine is impossible. You cannot build a machine, the human body, the human mind that just constantly is able to think every thought and move. If we had to think every thought on a daily basis of how the finger moves, how the eyes blink, how the nostrils flare when you breathe, how the heart beats, how the feet move, how the legs move, how each joint, and we would die instantly. There is a bigger source that's handling all of that. That is the only source that can get you and I out of this false reality of perpetual motion. It does not exist. Something has to fuel it or it will not exist. What is the fuel to violence? More violence. Somebody whispering in someone's ear. Don't let that slide. Don't let them get away with that. It'll get quiet for a minute. Manning is quiet now, so y'all think it's quiet. But I was just in an incident Monday, where my mother-in-law called me and they were shooting over in her area. Windows bust out and everything. But it's not reported, so you say out of sight, out of mind. But I'm telling you something. Your NAACPs, your Black Lives Matters, your churches, your politicians, if they're not on this thing 24 hours a day, and they're not, then it's going to be a constant problem. And I have children that I don't want to see die before their time. I made a covenant with God. Kill me, take my life peacefully before I ever turn on this, because you've shown me beyond the shadow of a doubt that I'm on the right path. It's lonely. It's lonely. Now, perpetual motion, continuing forever, holding something such as an office for life or for an unlimited time. It's not how it works. I was over in the East in the Emirates, Bahrain, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and there are families that hold those positions for life. But if they do wrong by the people, then the people will overthrow that family and kill all of them and put in a new family. You don't see that on the news. But if a group becomes too violent here in America, somebody gonna stop that. See, chumps like to join groups that are strong because they chumps. And they're hoping some of that strong will wear off on them, or that they can hide behind the organization. I see it all the time. But when they're alone, they're not that tough. But people like that are dangerous because they won't try to prove a point by being the most violent. My child, your child, innocent people caught in the violence. Ignorant children who commit violence and come around innocent people and cause that violence to be in the midst of them. I was doing some photography some time ago, and a young boy in the picture was flashing gang signs. And I walked up to him and I said, "Young blood, don't do that in these pictures, bro. These your people right here. If they see you flashing that, then now they got all the pictures of your people. If they can't get you, they're gonna get somebody you love, bro." Perpetual motion goes against all laws of physics. Understand what I'm talking about. I'm telling you what's about to happen. I'm telling you that the violence will not stop, cannot stop. I'm telling you that as long as the violence is quiet down, then that means that the minds of the violent are constantly churning and thinking of the next thing to do in another violent way. They will begin to carry out assassinations in Manning. They will call people from out of town to come in and kill people and leave. They will begin to dress like females and commit assassinations in Manning. Listen to what I'm telling you. Every level of crime in the cities of America is here now. Fentanyl hasn't even hit yet, but fentanyl is a drug that can make you a millionaire overnight. It's coming to Manning because Satan has no moral code or standard. Perpetual motion. What keeps it going? The levels have to be elevated every time. It cannot stay on. Listen, heartbeat, line, down, up, straight, down. Perpetual motion. There's got to be an elevation and a decrease, a level out, and then another elevation. That's where we are. You lay down because you think everything is all right. It'll never be all right. There has to be a constant. What I tell my children, you must be proactive. There has to be a constant proactive campaign for the what if. A warrior does not stop fighting when the war is over. He goes into training for the next thing, because the next thing is going to be worse. George Washington said, George Washington said, I tremble for my country when I think that God is just, that there must be an answer for slavery. You don't want to answer for slavery because you got a house and a car now. But Joe and my ancestors didn't get to enjoy that. They felt whips and broken bones and rape and murder and torture and amputation and the damage to the psyche. You want to forget all of that, so you figure it's easier to hate me. Perpetual motion goes against all the laws of physics, making it impossible to achieve. And the system, the elite is the word I was looking for. If you don't know why I have to think the way I think, go back to the beginning of the broadcast. You'll find out what I'm telling you. That's why I need a co-host. I need somebody right by my side to help me, to keep me on point. But most people, not even family, see the importance of what I'm doing, but I must do it. I must do it. Perpetual motion goes against all the laws of physics, making it impossible to achieve. Therefore, there must be a source of power that keeps a system or mechanism going, but it is camouflaged. You don't see the source. You don't see God. You don't know how the world operates. It just does. But there is a source behind it, hidden so well that we think the system is self-sufficient. Violence is not self-sufficient. Someone has to be brought in. Listen, when the violence slowed down in Chicago, someone started delivering boxes, crates of guns, and leaving them by the train track. This is documented. Leaving them in the alleyways. Where you think these children get these high-powered weapons from? Right here in Manning, South Carolina. They go out and sell these young boys high-powered weapons for $50, $100. Malfunctioning weapons that don't shoot straight. So you're pointing straight, but you hit somebody else. The devil is busy. And you scared of Satan. I am too, but I trust God. But you don't. You trust Satan's world. How else could he enslave you in the name of a white Jesus and then give you that same Jesus and tell you that Jesus is going to save your life? Who would believe that but us? I understand. If you're scared, say you're scared. If I want a drink of water, I say I want water. If I think you're pretty, I'm going to say you're pretty. God made me that way. I ain't say I want to sleep with you. I said you're pretty. You see all of these beautiful, expensive cars. I'm trying to put it in layman's terms so we can understand it. You see all these beautiful cars. You see the Ducatis. You see the expensive BMW bikes. You see the Ferrari, the Camaros, the Corvettes. You see all of these cars, all looking self-sufficient, like they need no assistance. Any way to keep going. They don't need nothing. So we go out and we buy these high-end cars, and then the moment we got to fix it, they say, oh, that's going to be $20,000 to fix. Yes, it broke. You didn't know it was going to break. Everything breaks. They all must stop at the gas station or at the electric station. They all need gas. We all need fuel to re-energize, or they will not function properly. So perpetual motion. Something is fueling everything. That's how pastors win, because they plan to fuel you on Sunday. I don't hear many of you talking about God at all, really. You talk about an invisible Jesus that you don't know, but not God, not a higher source. And you act as if though everything you do is so right that everybody else is going to be punished and not you. So we say things like the devil is a liar. Uh uh God don't let nobody harm his anointed. Who said you were anointed? You? The beat up car, the fancy car, all need fuel. The muscular body, the skinny body must all have fuel. Violence must be fed fuel. And the fuel is introduced in such a subtle way that the average person thinks that they run without external energy sources. Violence is fueled. There is a book out entitled Economic Hitmen: How America Rules the World. Before they come in with violence, they send somebody in to offer you something that you don't have. It's happened to me so many times till I'm sick of it. Don't you want to make? I've been offered radio. I ain't talking about online radio shows. I'm talking about on radio shows. But they want to change my whole format. You can't say that and you can't say that, but you would be so good at it. Don't you want to make money? So these economic hitmen come in to different society. You know that China and Japan owns most of Jamaica. All of y'all smoking your weed and wearing your Jamaican locks and all of that. Do you know that China owns all the airports and everything? White folks own all the land, the big homes. They buy one side of the street, the other. You don't know that, because you think things just run by themselves. Why, they are in the reality and understanding that we make it run. We are the machine. Everything has to have an energy source. No one wants to admit that we're slaves. We all are. All of us are. I don't care how intelligent you are, whether you retired from the military, retired from, I don't care if you just at home working on a job, still a slave. Some suffer in ignorance, worse than others, because you are a slave thinking that you're free, thinking that the ignorant things that we do is freedom. I'm gonna ride a four-wheeler on the road and I'm a catwalk it and I'm gonna run a red light. I'm free. You're not free. You're ignorant, because you're putting so many lives in danger to fulfill some selfish desire you have. And the person who says stop doing that, you want to make them the problem. I'm talking about perpetual motion and violence. I'm coming to a point, and if you don't listen to the whole broadcast, then you will not know what I'm talking about. Everything that God gives me is outlined. First, second, third, then next, afterwards, finally. Genesis 3:1 of the King James Version of the Bible. We're almost done. I promise. We're in the blue. The blue means that I'm almost done. I see you, Brody. One time. Genesis 3:1, King James Version of the Bible. Somebody on Twitter just sent me a comment. Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? The serpent was subtle. Perpetual motion has a source in it, an energy source that is so subtle that you will miss it. But that subtlety is what captures your desire, what you want to do. And it gradually whispers to you that it's okay. Oh, it's okay to shoot people. They're your ops. You didn't invent the word op. You didn't invent no gun. When I was younger, we used to have something called a pop pistol. We would take I ain't even gonna tell you how to make it. We made our own gun that could really shoot. And I still know how to make it. Anyway, talking about Satan and the subtlety, and we're going to close. The subtlety is what you don't see. The subtlety is that source of energy that keeps either right going or wrong going. And we're closing. Thermodynamics. I told you that there are two laws of thermodynamics that perpetual motion would break. These two laws are what our children are in now, are what the world is in now. Let's go into the laws. Thermodynamics is the branch of physics that studies the relationship between heat and other forms of energy. Heat. I'm getting hot. You're making me hot. You making me hot. When a dog is in heat, he want to screw. When people are in heat, they want to screw or they want to fight. Heat. Heat comes from a gun. It's the gunpowder in the gun. Thermodynamics. If you punch somebody, fire. It's like punching fire into them. They feel heat. If you slap them, they feel heat. Listen to what I'm telling you, how science and life are the same. But somebody studies it and somebody thinks they know it. Hypothetical. Thermodynamics is the branch of physics that studies the relationship between heat and other forms of energy. It especially focuses on energy transferred and conversions and has a lot to contribute to the fields of chemical and mechanical engineering, also physical chemistry and biochemistry. Stick with me. You're going to understand what I'm saying. The first law of thermodynamics, also known as the law of conservation of energy, states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but only transformed or transferred. You can't destroy energy. The body dies, but the energy is transferred into the person who takes on the life of the person who died. The energy is transformed or transferred. That is the first law of thermodynamics, the law of conserving energy. When you conserve energy, that's called being patient. When you conserve energy, that's called understanding that I got to go to the store and put gas in my car or else it's going to cut off. People buy cars, never change the oil, never change the brakes, never change nothing. Run out of gas constantly because they spend more on weed than they do on putting gas in the car. They come to the store, let me get a pack of Newports and let me get $5 on pump 3. $5 is only 1 gallon of gas, and you want to ride all around the world. 1 gallon of gas, you're going to burn out, which comes to the second law. The first law, thermodynamics, as the law of conservation of energy, states that energy can't be created or destroyed, but only transformed and transferred. So your purpose of going to church is to rejuvenate your energy. Your purpose of understanding and motivational speaking and stuff is to rejuvenate energy. Your purpose of going to a club is to just get yourself relaxed a little bit, rejuvenate your energy. Your purpose of a little drink here and there, a little puff here and there, is to rejuvenate your energy, not to become a hype. But because we suffer from the second law of thermodynamics, we become hypes. We become violent. We become a problem and not a part of the solution. The second law of thermodynamics, in closing, affirms that the entropy of an isolated system always increases over time. Now, let me break this down and we're done. Entropy is a state of disorder, confusion, and disorganization. Why is it so violent? Why have our young people gravitated toward gangs and violence? Entropy is a state of disorder, confusion, and disorganization. In the home, a child learns how to lie. In the home, a child learns to go to mama when she wants this thing and go to daddy when she wants that thing, but play both of them against each other. That is the confusion, the disorder. It starts in the home, in the womb. A mother smoking marijuana around disturbing situations, a mother who smokes cigarettes or is constantly in aggressive sex in the womb. See, white folks, when they freed us, it's three things they didn't teach us. I know I'm not going to remember all three, but if God gives me the strength, I'm going to. At least two. They did not teach us the science of choosing a mate. Yeah, three. They did not teach us the science of choosing the right person to build a life with. We choose the person based on the size of their penis, the size of their butt, and according to the money they're making at the time. That's why our relationships don't last. You're supposed to look into the future and see a future with this person. So they did not teach us the science of choosing a mate. They did not teach us the science of warfare, that warfare is a science and that business is warfare. I had the third one. They did not teach us the law of choosing a mate. They did not teach us the science of warfare. I can't remember. I had it. It'll come back to me, God willing. But there's three they didn't teach. Then they will never teach it. And when black folks get a piece of that, they keep it for themselves. These are the new black people, the white black people, who wants to take the place of the white man. The white man has elevated into another world. He no longer needs to do the things that he's done. He's indoctrinated our children to take care of the violence, to take care of the elimination of the next race of people. And now that the next generation, and now that they've made it a law that you can't have an abortion, they're planning on replenishing themselves, because social scientists predicted by 2035, the world would be engulfed with brown and black people, and white people would be in the minority. So they don't want to suffer for the things they did. So they're going to constantly be understanding the law of perpetual motion and violence. And that's what they're using against us. You're selling your people the poison that is killing them for $1. Oh, I got to do it, man. I got to feed my family. When did you feed your family? You just bought 3 cars, some $1,000 shoes, but you got your children in public school. If you want to feed your family, feed them the best. You don't go to a whole food market to buy food. You buy it at McDonald's. So you liar. If you're doing what you're doing to elevate, why aren't your children in the best private school? Why are you still living in a housing project with all of these knots of money? Why aren't you teaching your children financial literacy? Why are you smoking marijuana and drugs around them and destroying their life before they get started? Because you are the perpetual motion. You keep the cycle of death going. And society and Satan has made you to think that what you're doing is good. As Satan said to Eve in the garden, did God tell you not to eat? He just don't want you to be as smart as he. So here you are with your crusty behind talk about you a god, you a queen, you a king, destroying the next generation. We're closing. A thermodynamic measure of the amount of energy unavailable for useful work in a system undergoing change. It's all about a new world order and change. But at the rate we are going, we are devolving. I don't care how much drugs you sell. I don't care how far you go away from the drug sale. You are a part of the problem. The best thing to do is say, I'm a part of the problem, and take some of the money and do the right thing with. At least it balances out. Second law of thermodynamics, A measure of the degree of disorder in a substance or a system. I'm telling you that this world measures our degree of disorder and perpetuates that measure of disorder by adding fuel to it. Add fuel to the fire. Make them more violent, but make them not see the hidden hand that has made them violent. So the black folks are saying, what's wrong with our children? Now you calling the police on your people, your children, and they say, yeah, we'll come. Sure we will. Some of them come to do the right thing because they trust in the law, and I do too. I believe there are good officers, good agents. I know there are. They just brought in the fourth suspect that killed little 6-year-old Knowledge Sims in Colombia. Found them in New York, transported them back. Yeah, they did. They're charging a 16-year-old child, a 14-year-old child in Philadelphia as an adult for the murder of a 72-year-old man walking down the street minding his own business. Listen, we in trouble, Jack. Because now we got to draw down on 6- and 7-year-old children to kill them because they're being perpetually taught by these leaders to kill you, rob you. You're young. They won't put you in jail. You got to be the shooter. This is stuff that has already happened in the cities. I live there. I know it. They're going to catch you in the barbershop. They're going to catch you in the grocery store when you're off guard. That's why the life of FBG Duck, I don't know him, and I'm not talking down about him, but the life of Vaughn, King Vaughn, FBG Duck, had to be captured on video for you to see it. We're going to catch him when they least expect it. The man was in the Gold Coast. He thinking he was safe. You ain't safe nowhere. You at a graduation party. You think you safe. You ain't safe nowhere. You at a wedding. You think you safe. You ain't safe. No, you ain't even safe at a funeral, Jack. They shooting up funerals. It's going to happen. These young boys have nothing to live for. Listen to what I'm telling you. God has already said it. The second law of thermodynamics affirms that the entropy of an isolated system always increases over time. Always. A measure of the degree of disorder in a substance or a system, entropy always increases, and available energy diminishes in a closed system as the universe. Entropy increases. Availability of the energy diminishes in a closed system. The world is going out. The elite are saying a new world, but we're in the old world thinking that we're in heaven. Because we got a couple of it. I got money, nigga. I got 1,000. I got 2,000. You're being played by a hidden hand. We're closing. Number 3, in information theory, a measure of the information content of a message evaluated as to its uncertainty. Now we're beginning to question it. There ain't no God. Everybody ain't no. Look at Facebook. Don't trust nobody. I'm constantly putting up there love, love, love. Don't trust nothing. Nobody, no good. Your family ain't your family. It's a mess. That's what entropy does. That is the third. That is the universal law of perpetual motion. Something is happening. It's moving, but we're staying still. Listen to this. Last one. A process of degeneration marked variously by increasing degrees of uncertainty, disorder, fragmentation, and chaos. I told you there's a book called Descent into Chaos, Madness. Talks about how the system is setting us up for death. But we think because we don't listen to a thing, it's not happening. It's happening, people. It is not going to stop because some hidden hand is keeping the motion going. The last one, a process of degeneration marking variously by increasing degrees of uncertainty. What this is saying is that when you stop moving, chaos ensues. If the heart stopped beating, chaos, then death. When the kidneys stop, they put you on a machine. The heart stops, they put you on a machine because you're going to die. Now they got y'all in a haze of smoke, liquor. You're addicted. You got the tremor. I don't care what you do for your life. You're addicted to something. So am I. But there's a difference in a person who knows they have a problem and talk about it and a person who tries to hide it and go along with. Big difference. Big difference. Apple and oranges. So I hope that you will take this information, man, and sit down and talk to it. Have conversations about it. Look it up for yourself. We talked about the universal law of perpetual motion and violence. The violence will not stop. Manning will not be prepared for what's coming. I was talking to an associate of mine, a friend of mine, about the violence in Sumter back in the day. I had a conversation about a friend who was murdered in Sumter. And the people who murdered him, I won't mention their name because at the time it was too big for me to even talk about, and it's too big for me now. But I was talking to one of my associates yesterday, and he said, "Oh yeah, my man started that organization. He came from New York, and he started that. It was the most violent era on the south side of Sumter when I was coming up. And we were out there as Muslims trying to stop it. The gang members used to come to our study group meetings. This is nothing new. It's going to get worse. Key is to keep you out of books, keep you from thinking, keep you from your past, and you don't want it. You don't want it. In a world where we don't change anything, the only thing we can do is graduate and join onto a system that is already established. And that's what we do. That's why I'm telling you, politicians, preachers, everybody on the same level. Gangs just join gangs that were already formed. Politicians and preachers join Democrat or Republican parties, and they do exactly what's in the script. You go against the script and you are out. So I expect people to do exactly what they do. If I want to know what a Democrat can do for me, I study the Democratic Party and find out what I can use in it. They're not going to change the script. If I want to know what the Republican Party do, I study it. If I want to join a gang, I find which gang is doing the best and I study it and I go with that. In closing, 1 Corinthians 14 and 33 of the Living Translation of the Bible says, "For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace." You heard me? So the disorder that is happening right now ain't got a goddamn thing to do with God. Not the God of the universal law. No. That same God that whispered to Eve in the garden is where we following. If there's confusion in your home, that ain't God. If there's confusion in the church, that ain't God. That's something else. 1 Corinthians 14 and 3, "For God is not a God of disorder, peace, but of peace, as in all the meetings of God's holy people." So if we on the same page, then there's peace. I can find peace with any race, any religion, because I know what I'm after. I know what God put in me. I know what Allah put there. You don't have to be a Muslim to be of God. You don't have to be a Christian to be of God. But you can't make up your own rules to universal law. You cannot. It will cause dysfunction. Satan does not like peace. And I'm closing. Satan loves confusion. Without confusion, Satan cannot exist. That's why they're making the cars loud with the loud pipes, loud motorcycles, loud music, loud weed, that loud, the liquor loud, everything loud. Too loud. Because you cannot be allowed to think. And a man and woman of God must be able to think. Satan never quits. He just changes faces and changes strategies. That is the story of Pharaoh in the Bible. Out of all the signs he was given to change, he never did. So we're not going to reform most of these children. They're gone, man. You know what had to happen to Pharaoh? He had to die. And the energy of Pharaoh went into another Pharaoh, and they did the same thing that Pharaoh did. You know why Abraham wanted a son so bad, and then once he had the son, God told him to kill his son? Because in this day and time, we got to be able to let family go. God is not the author of confusion. I thank you for tuning in. I thank Almighty God for giving me the strength and the ability to think clear enough to do it. Again, you're not going to like what I'm saying. You're not even going to like me much. And you're not going to like the way it has to be delivered. But it's the job of the messenger to deliver the message clearly, and that's it. This was the universal law of perpetual motion and violence. I thank Instagram. I thank all my Facebook channels. I thank YouTube and also Twitter. And I hope that the message came out clear. But I want you all to understand that I'm not here for entertainment. I'm not trying to impress you with who I know. Let the other ones in man and do that. I'm not trying to make you my friend. Let the other ones do that. Where I am is very lonely. I'm a lonely person. But I gotta stay here. I don't care for sexual favors or any of that stuff from a man or from a woman. Your mind. That. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. I'm going to play this outro and then I am gone. We got 2 more parts to this. We're going to do the universal law of retaliation next. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for tuning in to this month installment of the 19 Report. I am your host, Brother Johnny. I walked a thin line between right and wrong, took my fears to God, then I wrote this song. The spirit kept calling, so I answered the phone, and then I manned up and got some backbone. My mind resonates at a much higher tone, solid foundation, empire zone. 3 mountains, I'm in one, right to left counted, 9 and then 1, left to right switch it, 1 and then 9, west to east, south to north, a thin line. I know Christ exists, cause his mercy allows me a chance to stand 3 on a square. Yeah, we in there. This is Brother Johnny of Groove 19 Promotions.
Sing.